Hi, this is Sally Flashberger from the Wisconsin Board for People with Developmental Disabilities. We're here today for another Living Well Wednesday. We're excited today to be talking about one of the board's programs called Building Full Lives. We have one of our provider agencies who's been participating in the program. We have Catherine Garrison with us from Headwaters. So we're excited to have her with us and hear about real life examples of the program. We're going to show some great videos of some of the self-advocates who have participated in the program. And we hope it'll be a very interesting session. Please, if you're on Facebook Live, please feel free to post any questions in the comments. And if you're joining us via Zoom, please post any questions in the chat. So I'm going to turn it over to Shannon to get us started.
Thanks, Sally. So I'm going to just give a little bit of a background on the Building Full Lives initiative with the Board for People with Developmental Disabilities, and just talk briefly about the service, how we have been working with agencies, we meaning the Board for People with Developmental Disabilities across the state, and then a little bit about the service model. We'll show some videos that really will make it come to life a little bit more, and then, like Sally said, hear from Catherine to talk about the service provider experience. But so the Building Full Lives initiative is something that the Board for People with Developmental Disabilities has been investing in as part of its state plan since about 6 years ago. And really began because a small group of service providers who wanted to transform their organizations, get away from relying on facility-based services to supporting people in the community to build full lives, and pursue employment, be connected, and in the community. And so we started working with a consultant named Sarah Murphy from an organization called Transcend, because she had been working with a number of different states and agencies across the nation to do this transformative process through value stream mapping, planning, and piloting some community-based services. And so what we did was, we started a pilot group with 3 or 4 service providers in the first year. And Sarah, came in and helped us through this planning process. The 4 different agencies then created pilot groups where they then said, okay, we're going to dive into these meaningful day services, and with a small group of people, we're going to help our staff get familiar with what to do, and we're really going to try to develop this as a service model for providing what we would call these building full lives or meaningful day services. And so Headwaters was one of the very first organizations that did that. And the really neat thing about the planning process that we went through with the organizations using value stream mapping, which is a lean tool for those of you who might be familiar with that. But what it does is it looks at an entire organization and the services that it provides through the lens of the customer. So in this case, a person with a disability who, attends a facility-based program or a day program and, wanting services. So at the end of the day, we have to figure out how to provide the services that are the most meaningful, most valuable to people, doing it as efficiently as possible. So the agencies really learned a lot through that, and they learned a lot through their pilots. And so what we decided to do was expand the Building Full Lives initiative. And every year for the next few years, we brought on additional agencies and created a community of practice or a learning collaborative with 13 different organizations across the state that really shaped this particular way of providing supports, which we call Building Full Life Services. And through that, we invited the funders in to the learning collaborative, and it was a very transparent, very collaborative process to figure out how can service providers provide top quality, services in the community that are really designed to connect people, help them, to the community members and community places, build skills, that are personally meaningful and that help to create more independence in their lives, and really then also provide an exposure and an exploration process towards community employment and other bigger life goals, whether that be independent living or just again having this full meaningful life. And so we've through the years created tools and stories and testimonials based on the agency's work developing this model. And then in the most recent past year, the original agencies that started doing this work have been mentoring new agencies, again trying to expand this across the state as the way that we support people to have meaningful lives in the community. So the ultimate goal with the service model is really to create pathways to employment, expose people to the community and help them explore, as well as maybe once they're employed in the community, create a wraparound option for people who do need to have a full day. And whether that's a wraparound with formal services or a wraparound in the sense that, we've helped people get connected to volunteer sites or learn how to hang out with their friends or, get around in the community on their own. And maybe they don't always need a staff person with them anymore to do those things, but they need staff for other parts of the day or different things like that. So it's a very flexible, individualized service model to provide community supports in either small groups or individualized ways. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot different than traditional services, and we want to make sure that when service providers are interested in this model, that we really do help them to have fidelity or integrity to the model. So we do, Caitlin will show you a little bit later how we collectively created some essential elements tools and different tools that service providers can use to fully implement the model the way that this group of providers really has shaped it up in Wisconsin to be something really great. So that's a kind of the commercial or 5-minute overview of Building Full Lives and the BPDD's initiative with that. I'll just see if there's any questions, if you want to drop those in the chat. Otherwise, what we'll do next is watch a video that provides an overview of the model and just kind of, again, puts it to life more than what I can actually say in words. So
I don't see any questions at the moment. The only other thing I wanted to add is as part of Living Well, this is something that our pilot sites have been looking at. If they weren't already doing it, they've been investigating whether they want to get involved because it does kind of fit with the goals of Living Well also. So
yeah, in the way that we have identified it as a best practice in Wisconsin, and that it really does help service providers meet their HCBS settings requirements, and it does it's person-centered and great for people, so it helps them stay connected, healthy, and safe in the community.
That's great. I think we'll have Caitlin share the video that you guys created.
It will exceed your wildest expectations for your loved one.
Building Full Lives is the Wisconsin Board for People with Developmental Disabilities initiative with service providers in Wisconsin to shift their services to help people live full lives in the community. There's an exploration and discovery component that's very individualized, where we really learn about someone's interests and their goals. And then after that, people move into a skill building phase where they develop the skills with supports they need in order to achieve their goals.
Let's check out the cultural events, though. There's probably a lot of stuff over here that you might be interested in. Jermaine started out in a sheltered workshop program with the Building Full Lives model. He transitioned into a community-based job. We use a tool, an assessment tool, to identify areas of skill building that we can work on. So for Jermaine, that was money management, navigating in the community, and strengthening his communication skills so that he was able to develop those friendships. We've explored places in the community that align with his interests, and we've helped him connect to people that he has things in common with and really build a rich life outside of work as well.
I live in a group home. I don't like living in a group home. I live by myself in this apartment.
Caroline wanted her own apartment. So we convinced her case manager and her guardian to give her a chance and that we would support her in any way needed.
This is a personal money.
We began with daily living skills.
She told me, I want to work with my money. I want to be able to go to the stores. I want to be able to go to the Y by myself. I want to take a cab.
She worked on getting into the community more in an independent way. She took some cooking classes and began to develop social skills.
Building Full Lives is looking at the whole person and what is meaningful for them. For John, that meant moving into his own apartment and getting a job that he loves. For Amber, it means being able to give back to her community through her sewing and other volunteer work that she does. And for Carol Ann, it means being able to do the things in the community that she wants to do that she wasn't able to do before.
What we look to do is, as the natural supports increase and the skills and independence increase, that staff support is backed off and people have more time without staff in the community.
So let's say you're riding this down to the lakefront. How would you secure it? We started out with me as his community connector, present 100% of the time. At this point in the program, about a year after he started, I'm only doing a 15-minute check-in.
We started off with 24-hour staff. And as we got to learn Carol Ann, we realized she didn't really need all that support. She was able to show us that in a short time. She more or less shared with us, start laying off the staff. I don't need that many people here. So we did do that. Today, I think she gets about 18 hours a week. If she needs anything more, she knows she can always call.
When I reflect on someone like Jermaine and where he was at when we first started to a year later, it's pretty remarkable.
Building Full Lives has allowed parents to see their kids as regular community members, whereas they may have not had that opportunity before. We've seen them transform as well.
It's like this was all inside of her and someone just had to help her get it out, gain some confidence and get some control in her life.
People with disabilities no longer live separate lives. They get to be part of the fabric of the community and reach their goals just like we all do and we all want to.
I promise myself I'm happy. I know nobody telling me what to do.
Yeah, I love the closing of that. Ain't no one tell me what to do. And we'll get a chance to see a little bit more of Carol Ann's story in just a little bit. So, and then we have another video that is about a gentleman named Luke. His story, moving from being in a facility-based pre-voc setting and living a full life in the community and having a couple of different jobs and all kinds of social opportunities. So we can cue that one up next and take a look at that.
Luke worked in a facility-based work center at ODC for 25 years. He loved it, came right out of school, had a lot of friends there.
But as other individuals and friends of Luke's have moved into community, different employment, different opportunities, he started getting ideas and it was something that he wanted to pursue also.
With the help of ODC, Luke got a part-time job at a recycling facility. He also continued working at the work center.
One of the things that is often difficult when you move away from a job or into a community job is, I don't have my friends. What am I going to do? Where else do I connect with them? It's only at my workplace.
Through Building Full Lives, ODC provided support to help Luke and his friends hang out in the community.
There you go.
There was a lot of nervousness about how that might impact Luke, just physically. If he made some bad decisions while he was just hanging out with his friends, and some problem-solving things needed to be worked out. Like, well, I have a limited amount of funds, don't have a lot of money, you know, I'm bowling. What decisions do I make? The other thing that we really spent a lot of time working on is his friends supporting his healthy decision-making around soda or an orange juice or water, and just making good decisions about that.
ODC helped Luke find a volunteer job through a community partnership program with UW Stevens Point at Marshfield.
Luke provides that extra hand to help us out as a volunteer, and I think the students really benefit as well, because then they see that we are lifelong learners, everyone is, and that our campus is important to the community and we're important to Luke.
All done?
Oh yeah.
How'd it go today?
The community really has been very supportive, and I really like the fact that Building Full Lives forces everybody to kind of just sit down on the table and figure out, how do we include people? How do we help people belong? It's no longer a separate place. We're all supporting each other, and I think that's been a really big benefit of Building Full Lives. But the coolest thing was he took on a second job, and he decided to discontinue coming to ODC and working there. So on his 25th anniversary was his last day there, and everybody was like cheering. It was great, you know. And I know it just the pride in saying, you know, I'm on my own. I've got it here, and it was really good to see.
So 25 years. So Luke was someone who, you know, many people thought would never leave the work center. His friends were there. That's where he was happy. He never really wanted to pursue much else until, you know, ODC started opening some doors, exposing him to, you know, different community jobs, different ideas, different things in the community. And 25 years later, he was, you know, now has a full life in the community. One interesting thing about Luke's story is that, you know, you saw him bowling with his friends. Many of those were also, you know, people who graduated high school with Luke about the same time, and, you know, they were buddies, and, you know, that's one reason why they kept on going back to, you know, ODC's facility, is because they were there, and that's where they got a chance to see each other. So one of the things that ODC did was support that group of guys to, you know, go bowling every week and learn the skills to be at the bowling alley independently and make community connections at the bowling alley so that they could all be there without staff. So, and that became the place, one of the places during the week that they would connect up and do things. Again, that kind of idea that when we don't always have to have a staff around, right? So some really great experiences there that we've seen on the videos. So with that, if you have any questions, post them in the chat. But otherwise, I'm going to hand it over to Catherine to talk about Headwaters' experience. Headwaters was one of the very first agencies to meet with Sarah Murphy and go through this process. So they've been at it for about, well, longer than when we, you know, started working with them, of course. But, you know, their service transformation, like many of the other agencies like ODC, started years before the Building Full Lives initiative, but this was just another catalyst to keep moving that forward. So, they are now one of the mentor organizations for Living Well as in the Building Full Lives initiative, providing technical assistance and mentoring to other organizations. So, Catherine?
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. I never get tired of talking about BFL and agency transformation. I think that it helped us in so many ways, and I hope that I can explain all of that to you. I don't want to give you the impression in any way that there wasn't pain involved, because change comes with pain. But I did have a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, and please feel free to ask questions and jump in. One of the first things that I was asked to bring up to this group is why we did it. Why did we want to start down this journey did all of the training, put in all the hard work and heartache, disrupt everything that we were already doing. And I have to say that it aligned with our dream of what services should look like. So when we first heard about this, it just sang to our hearts that this is what we should try. We really liked it as a stepping stone towards a person's best life, and that agreed with all of our philosophies and what we wanted to see for each person. And so that is why we really started down the road. And I think that we were successful because the way it was presented and taught to us by Sarah Murphy was very fluid in many ways. And we really liked that. We did not want to have something that was, canned or had, serious guidelines, perimeters. We wanted to grow with our families and with our staff and with the people that we support. So we felt that innately we were fearless and we were willing to try anything, but we wanted that flexibility to make mistakes and change direction. And I think that I really think that sang to us because this does not have canned perimeters. Each agency is different. Each family is different, and you need that flexibility. So that's one thing that we really loved about it, and it agreed with our mission statement of a person and what their life could and should look like. The impact on the individuals, a meaningful day as determined by them. That is huge, as determined by them. We, along with many other agencies around the world, we kind of have this, we had this role that we had assumed where we laid out what we thought would be best with the family for this person. And there wasn't a lot of listening and there wasn't a lot of interaction and it wasn't driven by the person. And at that time we were under county funding and they agreed with all of that. And so when we heard about this wraparound, it drove our agency to have, now we have residential, and so we not only have day, we have work, and we have residential. So that is the complete wraparound, and it never would have happened for us if it hadn't been for BFL. And so that is one of the cornerstones, is that we think every person should design their own life, and we can help them work towards it. So along with that came the responsibility to our folks that we were working with, that when all these things are in place, like we saw with Carol Ann, okay, you want to take more of a hand with your money, then if you spend it all, the natural consequences of that is you don't have any money. And so they also learned about the responsibility of adulting, I guess you could call it, and communication and commitment and being responsible for yourself and moving to a different place in life, that they saw themselves. And I think, we help them to dream bigger dreams. It's an ongoing process for everyone. And so it has impacted not only the people we serve, but the staff and the whole agency and the families too. So everyone that has been involved has been changed because of this. So for the agency, I would say one of the biggest things is, yes, we changed all our forms, and yes, we changed, administrative from top to bottom and all of that. But one of the major things I hope that you take away from this is we really learned a different way to listen. And we had to earn our folks that we thought we were doing a good job, and we were for many years. I believe that we all do the best that we can, but we got complacent in where we were. We, have facility-based pre-voc, and so we were comfortable and we just rolled along. And so by listening and re-earning the trust in a different way than the way it was before, then we could move towards building the confidence in our relationship with families, with the community, with everyone, to push everyone into a place that they never dreamed they could be, but maybe they thought they ought to, and maybe they didn't know how to get there. And so I think that this gave us the skills to help drive not only the agency, but the community to a different place. So that's one of the most important things that maybe we don't talk about enough, is those skills that we did learn. So back to the organization, we changed all of our paperwork, our reporting, our mindset. You know, this is this person's journey. And so you don't set a goal and then do it and then that's it. I mean, then we set another goal and then we complicate it and then we work on it again and then we dream bigger. We make their life bigger. There's nothing more sad than if a person wants a big life and they can't figure out or get the supports to help them to have a big life. So I think our philosophy and not over supporting, not under supporting. There's a lot of staff training that went into this. The staff really had to reevaluate who they were and what they did, because we were old school. And we were introducing something that kind of shook everyone to the core of it, who they were. You don't have to have control. You support from underneath. You let this person, if you get out of the way, humans will rise, you know, they will rise to the occasion, whatever that might be. Along with the expectations, the staff really struggled with the dignity to fail. You know, we don't always want to see someone fail. I have a daughter and I never wanted to see her fail, but those were some of the most important lessons of her life that she probably remembers to this day. Everyone can work. We had to train and expose our staff and help them to grow in this way that everyone with the right supports can work. And we should help that. And we should help them know what those supports might look like. Not only work, but living independently, like we saw Carol Ann. Actually, when she first came to us, she had quite a behavior plan, which was interesting. I'm not sure if I have a behavior plan in my file here, but maybe, I don't know, probably should. But you know, she had a behavior plan when she came to us, and none of those things were true. None of them. If we listen to her, listen to what she's saying, she went from 24/7 support to now she has 3 to 5 hours a week. And this was a person that no one had confidence in, but she had confidence in herself, which is astounding considering her age and the fact that she had been told for so many years that she couldn't. And so I think our staff had to learn to step back, listen to what this person is saying, and then take action. We're not just listening and thinking this is pie in the sky. You then take action to make that happen. But we are equal learners, equal learners. My first day, I'll go ahead and tell you about that. My first day job coaching, I went to the site and I had read some stuff and of course gone through orientation and everything. And I asked the lady that I was coaching if she could train me on how to job coach her. And she said, of course. She wanted me to have a good day. And so she trained me to job coach. And I thought to myself, not knowing any better, why does she have a job coach? If she's the one training me, then really, why am I here? What are we doing? And so I've never forgot that she didn't judge. She didn't, she wasn't snarky. She was just supportive. And I think that clearly shows the dance. If you ever watch a ballroom dancing, you know, sometimes the guy has his back to where he's going and he's moving backwards, and you know, the girl is kind of telling him, navigating where to go. It's a dance. And so sometimes a person leads and sometimes another person leads. And it's all okay because we're moving in the same direction towards this person's biggest life possible. And that really rolls over into person-centered, person-driven, them being accountable, responsible for their life and their activities and their choices. We did embrace volunteering. Shannon hit on that briefly, and we really, really worked hard at finding volunteer sites, unique volunteer sites, unorthodox volunteer sites, I think everyone would say, and it helped to let folks know that you can get out, make relationships, be missed, be a part of the community. This is not fearful. This is something that you can do, and it can lead towards work. And we really, because we are a fairly small community, we really wanted to give back. We are not takers. We're not takers. We wanted the community to know that we are givers and we are active people in this community to be respected and assimilated and acknowledged as such. And so also we had the ever-present driving thought of inclusion versus integration. That was very hard for the staff. You know, they felt, okay, we're going out, I'm trying, I'm doing this. And actually it was a question on one of our forms that the staff filled out, you know, who did you meet? Who did you talk to? What are their names? How are you going to follow up and build this for this person to develop a relationship? So it's not just about those one hit, you know, going to the movies where you're not really talking to anybody or meeting anyone. It's about really looking at inclusion and really looking at being accepted, respected, and missed. If this person wasn't there, would anybody say, you know, where is this person today? That's being accepted, and that's true inclusion. But I do have to say that one of the biggest things that we got from this is the collaboration that Shannon was talking about, and I say this to her all the time. When we started going to the collaboration and the other agencies started coming in, we formed strong bonds, strong relationships. I can pick up the phone and I can get an answer, I can get feedback, I can get support, I can get help, I can get ideas from this group of people that is all across the state trying to help and push and move us forward. And that is really part of what BFL is all about. It's not about really just helping folks. It's also about helping ourselves.
That's great.
I think I covered everything.
Yeah, well, the only question I had, and we kind of talked about this yesterday, did you have to make a lot of changes due to COVID to the programming that you've been doing?
You did say that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, we did. We do have a few cases, but we were kind of behind areas in the south of the state. So we have had to make changes. We went to a more hybrid model. We have virtual classes that we started, and that led us to even more complications and more learning. So we love that. We had known that technology was not really big in our area. A lot of our families are elderly, and that was something that we knew, but we had never addressed. So this forced us to look at things differently and address these things. And we still have some folks that come here to the agency, but we were a little bit different model than than some places because we were more like a hub. Since 1960, we had brought all of these from the surrounding counties in our transportation together. And so we had made this strange place where people knew each other and they had developed friends, but not in their own community. So it was another community on top of their community. So this was something that we needed to really look at when we were trying to put together virtual services, and now moving back into more community-based. These folks want to see their friends that are not from their area. What is their area, and where would you like to have your group? And so it has made us rethink everything again. Not only that, but safety, cleanliness, and all of that. The new normal is exciting.
Yeah, but I think that's great, because even in this time, you found opportunity for looking at new ways for people to be integrated and included in their communities. So
yes,
that's perfect. Thank you so much. I think we're going to show the video of Carol Ann that you worked with. So I think I'll have Caitlin cue that up, and then we'll see if there's any questions after that.
I live in a group home. I don't like living in a group home. I live by myself in this apartment. My name's Karen. I don't need staff with me all the time. I make my own breakfast, I make my own lunch, and I make dinner by myself. And I take care of myself, and the pills, I take care of my own pills too. And lock the door, I do laundry. I hate doing laundry, I had to do laundry. I go to the Y, do Zumba. I go shopping by myself. People knock my door and they come and visit me. I'm happy. I know nobody telling me what to do. Cheers. I know we're going to Wisconsin Dells October. Cheers and cheers. It was great to live here. I like it live here in this apartment so much. Better than like to live in a group with a bunch of other people.
Catherine, do you just want to just briefly touch on how transformative, her life was with a little bit different way of approaching services instead of, kind of controlling and planning for someone? But,
yes. So her story, I'm getting goosebumps when I watch that, Shannon, still to this day.
Yeah.
She was always inside of there, and I say this all the time. It was always inside of you. You just had to let it out or find a way for it to come out. And that's all we did, was to help you find a way for it to come out. And so she was in a group home. She was extremely unhappy, which led to behaviors. Right? So she felt that her staff was not as respectful as they could be. And her case manager from her funder was, struggling with the situation. And we said, well, we will try. We'll try. Give her a chance. Give her a chance. And we will support her 24/7, and we will be there. And if this goes awry and she gets her own apartment and it goes awry, we will be there, and then we'll just pull out. What have we lost if we try? Because she talked about this constantly. And so finally we convinced even her guardian, who is her cousin, was extremely nervous about this. She had her own apartment before, and it did not go well at all. And so she had a lot of trauma in her life, and I think all of that rolled into this person that you heard her say, no one tells me what to do. That is a driving force in her life, and we heard that. No one tells me what to do. Okay. So we had to really change our approach and really change the things that we were doing. and look at this in a completely different way for her in order to grow and be the person that she could be. And she can take care of herself, her meds, her cleaning. You can see her apartment's cleaner than my house. But she has gone, actually, even since we made the video, now she has maybe 5 hours of service. She's got a job in the community. They love her. And now she's starting to talk more and more about her money. Where is her money? Well, you know, where is my stimulus check? Because I watch the news about stimulus checks, you know, and so we want her to learn how to be more and more competent and more of a leader in her own life. And the receipts, you saw her looking at the receipts. We had a staff person, because we didn't know. We had a staff person doing the receipts, and they turn it in every month. I'm sure we all have the same thing. Well, there were mistakes, and she would get so upset that there were mistakes, and she wanted to be in control of that. And so the supervisor, that community coach that was there, you saw in the video, she was helping her, and she has taken over doing that, and she never has mistakes. It's actually better than it ever was before, because she takes it so seriously. This is serious. This is her life.
Thanks. Yeah, so it's more than just a service model or an initiative with the BPDD. It is a totally different way of supporting and thinking about people and thinking, you know, about what's possible in their life, and really raising the bar high and continually supporting people to exercise all the same rights and liberties and authorities that we have in our own lives, and supporting them, like you said, not, you know, from underneath or wherever it is, alongside or however, to encourage and to teach and help them build skills and listen. So
I know Caitlin's going to share some resources in a minute. I just have a couple questions and just listening. How many providers are in the program right now? Do you know?
Well, it's not a program. I'm always quick to say that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Even when, you know, providers, service providers talk about the Building Full Life services they offer, it's been kind of one of those things that we try to say to each other and remind each other it's not a program, because like Catherine said, it's very flexible and individualized. It's a way of providing a service or support. But 13 service providers have been involved in the Building Full Lives initiative with the board in that community of practice, although there are more and more that are, you know, learning from the mentors and getting technical assistance to provide those services. So we do see, you know, as we are ending, so this is the last year of this initiative, most likely, because the BPDD state plan is, you know, under review and public input and change. So we're kind of winding up, I guess you could say, over the next year or so. And with that, what we want to do is, you know, figure a way to sustain this or spread it around, leave a legacy of sorts, you know, that it's not just over. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do over this next year. So these 13 service providers, some of them are mentoring other service providers, and in hopes to spread and create a community of this culture across service providers in Wisconsin, that this is really the direction that we need to move towards. And you know, that also means, like, you know, I think with like King's question in the chat, you know, how, as a person with a disability, how do I get connected to these services? You know, one of the things that we need to do is you know, is create demand for these services. Let people know that they have a right, you know, to have services like this, that it's not just within the Building Full Lives service model, but if you want to get connected to your community, if you want to, you know, have someone support you to build a full life and to figure out what your goals are, and to, you know what I mean, do what like Headwaters did with Carol Ann, you know, and everyone else they support. You need to start talking, you know, asking, self-advocating with your service providers that you want that. You need to talk to your care managers, your IRIS consultants, that this is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a tour in a facility-based program or to get connected with a typical day service. I want individualized, person-centered services. So help me through a process of interviewing service providers or knowing, you know what I mean, who's in your provider network that can provide this kind of individualized service. So I think that, you know, self-advocates really do, you know, if you want more or different, speak up, you know, say, this isn't working for me. I need to find something else. So even if there isn't one of those service providers that's on the list that will show you that's been involved in the Building Full Lives initiative, even if they're not in your area, you still could take a look at like what the essential elements of the services are, get to know, you know, contact me if you'd like, or reflect on what you want in your own life. And I really think that it's, you know, before you choose to have a service put on your plan or, you know, spend your IRIS dollars on a service, you sit down and you talk with that service provider about what exactly they're going to do for you to help you get to your outcomes that you want in your life, and that you don't want just same old that maybe you've had in the past. So that's just what I would say.
That's exactly what I wanted you to say. I think that's the important message for people with disabilities is to, and even family members. I mean, myself, when I listen to it, I'm thinking about my son. This is what we need. People need to, it doesn't matter what the provider's been involved with, but if this is what you want.
We need to raise the bar. We need to let, you know, providers need to raise the bar, funders do, people with disabilities and their family members need to say, you know, we want, we have expectations in life, and we want to figure out how, not that services take over with that, but how services can complement and be a, you know, help to, you know, someone to support them to their outcomes, right? So.
Right, and I think even all the discussion we've had around COVID, we've seen different providers need to kind of move to more individualized planning, and so I think this just goes very well with all of the issues we're experiencing right now. I think I'm going to have Catherine. Did you have anything you wanted to add? I know you were kind of cheering in the background.
Yes, I completely agree with that, and I agree that you know, an individual needs to do their research, interview these people, and see what they're going to do. I mean, we actually have individuals that talk to staff to see if they want them to work for them, and if it's not working out, then they come and say this staff person isn't working out, and then we begin to explore it. But it really puts the individual in a different place, and like Shannon says, drives that quality because it's kind of different than the way we used to do it back in the day, where this is your staff person and you just like them, even if you don't, which makes for a long day. But I think that all of those things are so important. Do your research, know your stuff, and going there knowing that it's your life.
That's great. I'm gonna have Caitlin she was gonna pull up the webpage to share the resources with people so they could kind of see where it's at, and then we'll kind of close up after that.
Yeah, and if so Caitlin will show the webpage, but you know, we don't put everything up on the website just because, you know, for simplicity's sake. So if there's ever a question that you have, you can always get in touch with me or Molly Cooney, which her contact information is on the website, because she is the project, you know, the BPDD staff that's, you know, heading up the project. I'm just the consultant that kind of works under Molly. So there's Molly's picture right there in the corner, you can see.
Yeah, this is the website for the page for Building Full Lives. You can get to it under the Business and Community tab on the Wisconsin Board for People with Developmental Disabilities website. It's got the Building Full Lives video that we showed at the beginning. And then down here is where there are tools for grantees and other resources. There's real life stories. You can see there's Luke's story, Carol Ann's story that we shared today. And then this here is the BFL model toolkit. We've got 3 toolkits on the website, and this is what it looks like when you click on it. And you are able to see all of the information here about Building Full Lives and best practices. And then I don't know, there's some
Yep, there's the connecting to a service provider. So there's a
Yeah.
list.
That's here. Yep.
Yep, down. Yep, so there's the agencies that we're collaborating with the BPDD. So if one of these agencies is in your area, and you can certainly talk to them about services. Again, there may be others too that have been you know, involved either through mentoring or just getting technical assistance too. So.
Yeah, and then I think there's here are the essential elements list as well. So that's in this toolkit. So there's that toolkit. There's a couple more resources on the website, but there's also Molly's information, and Shannon's information is at the end of most of those videos as well. So there are people you can get in contact with if you have more questions about building full lives.
That's excellent. We did have a comment on the Facebook page, which I think is interesting and maybe something to think about when we, is that a lot of people, that they agree people should interview, but a lot of times people don't know how to interview to really know what questions to be asking. So just something interesting to think about. This was a great Living Well Wednesday. I'm very excited we did this. We'll be posting this on our Facebook page, and we'll put a link to the webpage there. I'm gonna stop the Facebook Live, but for people participating on the Zoom, if you wanna hang on 1 minute, we just wanna launch a poll at the end.